Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9, Text 22. Yeah, text 22. Can somebody pull it up? Okay. Okay. Saha ayam samasta jagatam suhrit ekaha atma satvena yat mridayate bhagavan bhagena tena eva me drisham anuprashatat yata aham srakshyami purvavat idam pranata priyaha aso soyam samasta jagatam suhrideka atma soyam samasta jagatam suhrideka atma sadvena yan mridayate bhagavan bhagena sadvena yan mridayate bhagavan bhagena tenaiva me drishamanu prishatad yataham tenaiva me drishamanu prishatad yataham srakshyami purvavadidam pranata priyoso srakshyami purvavadidam pranata priyoso soyam samasta jagatam suhrideka atma satvena yan mridayate bhagavan bhagena tenaiva me drishamanu prishatad yataham srakshyami purvavadidam pranata priyoso soyam samasta jagatam suhrideka atma satvena yan mridayate bhagavan bhagena tenaiva me drishamanusprishhatad yataham srakshyami purvavadidam pranata priyoso Sakatam suhrid eka atma Sadvena yan mridayate bhagavan bhagena tenaiva me drishamanusprishhatad yataham shakshyami purvavadidam pranata priyoso Matajis. Soyam samasta jagatam suhrid eka atma Satvena yanmridayate bhagavan bhagena Tenaiva medrishamanusprishatadyataham Srakshyami purvavadidam pranatapriyoso Mridayate bhagavan bhagena Tenaiva medrishamanusprishatadyataham Sakshyami purvavadidam pranatapriyoso Soyam samasta jagatam suhrideka atma Sadvena yanmridayate bhagavan bhagena Saha, he, I am the Lord, samasta jagatam, of all the universes, Suhrit ekaha, the one friend and philosopher, Atma, the supersoul, Satvena, by the mode of goodness, Yat, one who, Mridayate, causes happiness, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Bhagena, with 6 opulences, Tena, by him, Eva, certainly, Me, to me, Drisham, power of introspection, Anusprishatat, let him give, Yata, as, Aham, I, Shakshami, will be able to create, Purvavat, as before, Idam, this universe, Pranata, surrendered, Priyaha, dear, Aso, he, the Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Let the Supreme Lord be merciful towards me. He is the one friend and soul of all living entities in the world, and He maintains all for their ultimate happiness by His 6 transcendental opulences. May He be merciful towards me, so that I, as before, may be empowered with the introspection to create, for I am also one of the surrendered souls who are dear to the Lord. Purport. The Supreme Lord Purushottama, or Sri Krishna, is the maintainer of all in both the transcendental and material worlds. He is the life and friend of all because there is eternally natural affection and love between the living entities and the Lord. He is the one friend and well-wisher for all, and He is one without a second. The Lord maintains all the living entities everywhere by His 6 transcendental opulences, for which He is known as Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Brahma prayed for His mercy so that He might be able to create the universal affairs as He did before. Only by the Lord's causeless mercy could He create both material and spiritual personalities like Marichi and Narada respectively. Brahma prayed to the Lord because he is very much dear to the surrendered soul. The surrendered soul knows nothing but the Lord, and therefore the Lord is very affectionate towards him. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshru Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadama Hyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yutav Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavams Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Haripriye, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasinduvi Eva Chapatitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namane. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshtarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yasadevi Parabhakti Yatatevi Tathagarota Seti Katitarya Taprakashante Mahatmanaha. So yam samasta jagatam suhrideka atma sadvena yan mridayate bhagavan bhagena teinaiva me dusham anusprishata yataham sakshyami purvavadidam pranata paryoso. Let the Supreme Lord be merciful toward me. He is the one friend and soul of all living entities in the world, and he maintains all for their ultimate happiness by his 6 transcendental opulences. May he be merciful towards me, so that I, as before, may be empowered with the introspection to create, for I am also one of the surrendered souls who are dear to the Lord. So here, Brahma, in this chapter, well, this is called Brahma's prayers for creative energy. And here in this verse, we see Brahma directly engaging in this activity of praying for the creative energy. He's praying for the mercy of the Lord, so that he may have the introspection, he may be empowered to create the universe. And up until this point in this chapter, you see Brahma's been, in general, he's been glorifying the Lord. If we go back to you don't have to go back to it, I'll just read it a little bit. Some of the earlier verses here. The form which I see is eternally freed from material contamination and has advented to show mercy to the devotees as a manifestation of internal potency. This incarnation is the origin of many other incarnations, and I am born from the lotus flower grown from your navel home. O my Lord, I do not see a form superior to your present form of eternal bliss and knowledge. In your impersonal Brahman effulgence in the spiritual sky, there is no occasional change and no deterioration of internal potency. I surrender unto you because whereas I am proud of my material body and senses, your lordship is the cause of the cosmic manifestation, and yet you are untouched by matter. So we see Brahma is going through various verses of praising the Lord, praising different aspects, different qualities of the Lord. And now he's finally getting to the point where he's asking for something. He's asking, okay, I'm praising you, and now this is actually what I want. And we see the example here that this is what a pure devotee asks for. They're not asking for any kind of material benediction or any kind of enhancement to their sense gratification or something like that, but they're asking actually to be empowered by the Lord in order to execute his service nicely and to become a instrument in his service, just like Arjuna became an instrument for Krishna to eradicate these demoniac kings and lessen the burden of the earth in that way. Brahma is here praying that he gets the introspection to create. And he qualifies that by saying, for I am one of the surrendered souls who are dear to the Lord. So he's asking for the mercy of the Lord that he may do this. And he's pointing out this really important aspect of the Lord, this important quality of the Lord, that he is the one friend and soul of all living entities in the world. And here in this Sanskrit, we see this word, suhrit. So this suhrit, ekaha, the one friend. And we know from other places that this word suhrit, it doesn't just mean friend, but it means very, very close friend. Actually, there's one translation that means like heart friend. So it's like, it's just like very, very close friend, suhrit. We see this in Bhagavad Gita as well, suhridam sarvabhutanam. This is the peace formula, bhoktaram yagatavasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. Suhridam sarvabhutanam yatvamam shantim richati. That we attain peace by understanding that Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifices, the controller of everything, and the dearmost friend of all living entities, sarvabhutanam, suhridam sarvabhutanam. So he's the dearmost friend of every single living entity. And I'll get into that a little bit more later on. But like I'm saying, so Brahma, here he's displaying the topmost platform, he's displaying the proper attitude of a devotee. That while we are offering prayers to the Lord, as he's doing before, it's nice to glorify different qualities of the Lord. But if you get to the point of wanting to ask any kind of benediction from the Lord, we see the example pure devotees give is that the benediction that we ask for is simply to be engaged in the service of the Lord, birth after birth. Janmani, mama janmani janmanishvare. Na danam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. Mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatad bhaktira haituki tori. So Lord Chaitanya prays in Shikshashtakam that he doesn't want material wealth, followers, beautiful wife, any of these material benedictions, but he wants this janmani janmanishvare bhaktir ahaitukitai. So it's causeless, unmotivated devotional service to the Lord, birth after birth. And he's not even asking for liberation either. So we see this is the qualification of the pure devotee. One of the qualities of the pure devotee is that they completely satisfied just executing devotional service to the Lord. They don't need anything else. They don't need some nice material situation. They don't need things to be a certain way, arranged a certain way. But actually, we see, devotional service is so simple that we can do it anywhere at any time, any situation, no matter what our material body might be going through. Like that. But devotional service is so simple. It just takes, all we have to do is chant and hear about the Lord, read books, honor pursuit. Very simple things that we can do at any time, any place. And even if, the situation arises where our body is completely unable to do anything physically, we can simply imagine, worshiping the Lord very opulently. If we don't have the material things to the Lord at some point, maybe we're very poverty-stricken or something like that, but we can simply imagine having very opulent deity these things, and Krishna accepts that as well, just when it's performed within the mind. So it's really actually incredible. And I was just kind of reflecting on how this is different, so different than our materialistic upbringing and conditioning, where we think that everything must be very nice materially and opulent in order to actually satisfy us or satisfy others, right? If we want to impress, the opposite sex, or just do something nice for a friend, we want to do something very nice, we want to, or the parents, they get their kids, on 16th birthday, they get their kids the new car, and they want to get them the nicest car that they possibly can, and exactly what they want. We know this boy in college, and usually he has a Tesla. He got a Tesla from his parents, so it's they want to get the nicest thing, and they think if they don't get that very, very nice thing, then they're letting someone down, or they're not doing the best that they could be doing. But like I'm saying here, Krishna is saying, Patram Pushpam Phalam Tohi. He doesn't need much at all, actually. It's actually nothing to do with the level of opulence of the offering that we give to Krishna, because he's the owner of everything. He doesn't need anything. He already has all the opulence, all the wealth in the universe and all the universes. He's the owner and proprietor of everything. But it's simply the attitude with which we do that, the attitude, the loving devotion with which we do that he accepts that. He doesn't need anything from us other than that. Like I said, so Brahma is asking this benediction to create, to engage in the service of the Lord. And Brahma is in a pretty, you could say, he's in a bit of a pickle, because, being tasked with something as great as creating the entire universe is no small task. And of course, Brahma is, made of intelligence. He's extremely intelligent. His body's made of intelligence. But still, it must be a very bewildering situation to be born on the lotus flower, and then you're tasked with creating the universe. You have no idea what to do. You don't have any knowledge of how to do such a thing. So he's praying very submissively to be empowered with this introspection to create. And just thinking about, and how that relates to what we're doing, what we're going through, that, we are in a situation where we've been tasked, just like Brahma's been tasked by the Lord to create this material universe, all the planets and all the living entities and stuff. We've been tasked to create a farm community for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, the pleasure of Krishna, and to show the world, show this country a different lifestyle that can be had, that is much more healthy, much more in line with not only with nature, but with God's will, with Krishna's will. And it's quite overwhelming. It can feel overwhelming. Oh my gosh, there's so much to do. We have to move the whole temple, and we've, at least I've been here now 3 years now, so I'm a little bit feels settled in here. It's okay, this is somewhat of a comfortable situation. But now we're just being kicked out, thrown out. And we were talking about this yesterday in this meeting, that we can see Krishna's hand in things. When you put everything in Krishna's hands, you see Krishna's hand in everything. So if we come to the platform of having strong faith that this is the will of Krishna, and understanding that things are happening for a reason, and understanding the fact that whatever situation we get put in, as those that are aspiring for devotional service, we're aspiring to come to the platform of pure devotional service. Whatever situation we're put into now, we can understand this is directly the will and the hand of Krishna, that he's doing this personally to help us advance in Krishna consciousness. And so we can see that, okay, we have to move everything, and we're going to be in a rural setting instead of an urban setting. And I don't know about any of you, but I've never lived in anything other than I've lived in cities and suburbs my whole life. I've never been really living in the country, and my grandparents live in the country, and so I go there and there's mosquitoes everywhere, and it's oh my God, this is too much, But so it's oh my gosh, we're gonna be so quiet there. There's not so much happening, and there's so many questions will come in the mind, doubts and things like that. What are we gonna do? But we have to ultimately, like Brahma is here doing, we have to pray for the empowerment and the introspection to create this situation on this farm community that is what Prabhupada wanted. We want it to be in line with what Srila Prabhupada wanted us to do, and we want to be able to showcase what it means to grow your own food and protect cows and live a Vedic lifestyle. Now we see, some of the devotees have been traveling to different places and seeing this, but I've been also, while they were gone, I was doing a little bit of research online and things like that, but we're seeing the karmis are so far ahead of us in this regard. In terms of this homesteading movement is very, very popular now. Ever since the pandemic, it seems I saw 25% of people have moved to rural areas. I don't know if that's exactly accurate, but a lot of people in the millions are moving out of the cities and trying to buy farms and stuff. And you see on Instagram, if you simply post a video of a cow, nothing crazy, nothing fancy, you just put your phone up to a cow and just post that, it'll get millions of views, because people are so deprived of having any relationship with nature that they want to get it, they're getting it through their Instagram. So they're in their office or in their cubicle, and they're looking at people living on a farm and growing their own food. And it's wow, this is so amazing. But it's just what our ancestors did, for thousands and thousands of years. It's nothing that crazy or that special, spectacular. But because we're so in this artificial society, it seems like such a magical, fantastic thing. And it is magical, like we were saying, that, because we see the so-called magic of the scientists, we don't see the magic of nature, but actually, this is the banyan, the tree, the seed of the banyan tree is contains within an unlimited banyan tree. Is incredibly amazing. It's inconceivable magic there. But people are being attracted to this, and the point is that the karmis they're actually doing it, and they're going out, and some of them are living very austerely, with no electricity and things like that, and taking cold showers and all that. And they're kind of going through that just for just for sense gratification. I mean, it's not actually for any kind of higher taste or higher purpose. They're just, understanding that this artificial civilization is not going to lead to happiness. And so they think they'll get more happiness living in nature, which maybe they will. They'll get a little bit more, material happiness, a little bit more comfort and things like that. There's discomfort in some ways, comfort in other ways. But one small anecdote I wanted to say about that, not to go too off track, but I was seeing one video of these homesteaders in, I think, Oregon or something like that, and they grow, all of their own stuff they grow, and then they have so much extra that they give away to friends and charities and stuff like that. But they grow such a wide variety of things, and I saw in one shot they had like all these different, herbs that they're growing, and it was a list, and then, it was like just different, standard herbs, and then Tulsi was there. So I saw these karmis are growing and taking care of Tulsi, and then I was just hearing a lecture by Bhakti-Vikas Maharaj that saying that even if someone just does that, if someone just takes care of Tulsi Maharani, not even necessarily worships her, but even, he said that the standard in Hindu household is that they'll grow Tulsi and take care of her, maybe not even understanding that it's a spiritual thing. They just think, it's it gives oxygen and this kind of thing. But these karmis, not devotional at all, they're growing and taking care of Tulsi Maharani, and so they get some kind of benefit for that. Krishna is pleased by that because he accepts someone's caring for his devotee in that way. And so this is like an opportunity that you would never get. Nobody in the city will ever get to take care of Tulsi Maharani. Nobody would ever think to do that, really. But when you move to like a setting like this, these kind of things just naturally are able to happen because, you're growing so many herbs, and then Tulsi is one that they think has like, they are doing it for medicinal benefits and these things like that. Which, so anyways, they're not exactly on the proper understanding in that way. But still, there's benefit there just by virtue of living more close to nature in that way. And so, like I'm saying, we have to come to a level of surrender like Brahma is doing here and depend on Krishna. We have to become dependent on Krishna and realize that this is his will for us to do this. And it might be overwhelming, might be scary, but ultimately it's not that big of a deal. It's not like we have to create a whole universe. We just have to create a nice little farm and arrange things. And we have so many devotees here that are excited about it, inspired, and practicing nicely. And so we have a great community, probably the best community in North America, at least, of devotees in terms of how many are here practicing full-time, practicing sincerely, and things like that. We're very, very lucky to have this. And ultimately, this is going to please Srila Prabhupada, and it's going to please Bhakti-Vikas Maharaj, this is the aim of our life. The aim of our life isn't to live in a city or to have some kind of certain, nice situation. But it's to please Guru and Krishna. And just a couple of things, because not everyone was in that meeting yesterday, but I just wanted to mention a couple of things about that. So some of the ways that Vishnu Chitta Prabhu was saying that we can see Krishna acting in this way is that, we were working very hard to arrange for the renovations of this temple, but then some things happened, like the funds, there was the fundraising wasn't going exactly perfectly, and then we weren't even able actually to find a proper quote for the work to be done. And many, 3 different contractors said wildly different numbers, so we weren't even able to get a price for the renovation. And the contractors themselves were bewildered. They were like, I don't understand, why this isn't working. I'm not able to, figure this out. They've done so many other jobs and stuff like that, but somehow they just became bewildered by it. And then also that, this Bhakti program for the past, 2 years, or I guess since a year and a half, nobody's really come and joined. And before that, in Ponds, I wasn't here for that, but so many people joined in Ponds, and then people were joining, pretty actively. We had myself and Suresh joined at the same time, and then Giri joined shortly after that. So people were joining, and then now it's just been completely cold. So we see kind of Krishna's halting things, even though we're all, doing the same thing. We're distributing, devotees are distributing so many books, myself and Chandan were going out to colleges and preaching like constantly and meeting so many people, and then they're interested, but then it just doesn't actually work out. So we see so many things where Krishna is like kind of indicating, okay, maybe this isn't the way. And then Bhakti Vikas Maharaj came here and kind of just immediately said, I want the farm, and this is going to be better for getting people to come join, and it's going to be a better example. So we are, excited to move in that direction. Let's see. And then, of course, the very important point here being made in this verse is that, again, this suhrit. So Lord Brahma is saying that Krishna, he is the one friend and soul of all living entities in the world. So he's the one friend. I mean, this is kind of can sound like a controversial point. What about our family members? What about our closest friends that we've known forever and all these things that they seem like our friends, like they have our best interests in mind, they love us and all these things. But Krishna is really the one friend because he's desiring our ultimate benefit. And our ultimate benefit is to come to him, to come back to him and redevelop our dormant Krishna consciousness, to rekindle that relationship with Krishna. And he's patiently waiting for so long, for so many millions of lifetimes that we're going through in this material world. We're just transmigrating from one body to another, trying to enjoy this material world in many different ways. And the whole time, Krishna is accompanying us as the super soul. He's with us the whole time, and he's simply patiently waiting. He's not forcing us to love him. He's not doing anything. He's not trying to make us suffer or anything like that, but he's giving us the independence, the free will to turn to him when we so desire. But he's doing it in such a way that, the humility is incredible. There's this story from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Let me see here. So I just kind of wrote down, anyways, it was a lecture and then Maharaj was speaking the translation, so I wrote that down. So this is the story of Gopakumar. So as far as I understand, please correct me if I'm wrong later, but he was a non-devotee, and then Krishna kind of intervened in his life and gave him birth. He was born near Govardhan, and then Krishna appeared as his guru in order to basically bring him back to Vaikuntha, to the spiritual world. And so eventually, after all this story, when he went to Vaikuntha, and this is what Krishna says to him. So the Supreme Lord said, "Welcome, welcome, my dear boy. I am fortunate, most fortunate to meet you here. For so long I've been eager to see you. My dear friend, you have passed many lifetimes without paying any attention to me at all. For so long hope had me dancing like a fool, thinking perhaps in this lifetime or this or this or this, he will finally turn his face towards me." So Krishna here is, this is just mind-blowing that hope had me dancing like a fool, Krishna is saying. That he was hoping so much that his devotee, his part and parcel, this jiva soul, this, living entity that from our perspective we seem so insignificant. If we really think about it, we're completely insignificant compared to Krishna. Krishna is, the supreme controller of everything. He's, this universe is insignificant compared to him. What to speak of us? What are we compared to this universe? There's countless living entities within this one universe, and then countless universes. So it can seem like, oh, how do we have a personal relationship with Krishna? At least I struggle with that sometimes. Well, he's so much greater. I can't directly see him and all these things. But we're seeing here, this is actually the quality of our Lord, is that he's so intimately loving all of us that he's waiting for us to come back. And he's says that he's dancing like a fool, thinking perhaps that he will turn his face towards me. He's just waiting. And we simply can't understand that. We just can't understand the mercy of the Lord. We think that, Krishna is very merciful. And, many people think, I've gotten some nice, pay raise in my job, or, things are working out materially for me. Krishna is so merciful to me. But we can't understand his mercy at all. It's just completely inconceivable. So much greater than we can ever imagine. And so we see it so many different examples as well. Sudama, the Brahmana, of course, there's that really nice story that in the Bhagavatam where Sudama was a very, very poor Brahmana, and he was struggling even to have enough to eat, to survive, and his wife begged him basically, please go visit Krishna. He's your dear friend from Gurukul, and he will surely help us. He'll surely help provide for us so that we're not starving. And he didn't want to go beg from Krishna. He's no, I'm not going to go asking for anything, because this is the quality of a devotee. They're not going to go. They don't want to ask anything from Krishna. So she gave him, she convinced him to go. She gave him that little bag of chip rice that she had to beg from the neighbors. She didn't even have it herself. She got a small parcel of chipped rice. And he's like, okay, well, it's a nice opportunity to go see Krishna, so I'll go. So he went and he saw Krishna, and then there's that really nice painting that's on the cover of the 10th canto, part 4, I think, of Krishna washing Sudama's feet. So when Sudama arrived at Krishna's palace, Rukmini's palace, immediately Krishna was just in ecstasy and just completely so happy to see his friend. He welcomed him in, let him sit on Rukmini's bed, and then he bathed his feet, and Rukmini, I think, was fanning him. And he was just completely overwhelmed that this had happened. Sudama couldn't believe it. And then Krishna was like, you've brought something for me. I know you brought something for me. And Sudama didn't want to give it to him, the chipped rice, because he was embarrassed. And he's, oh no, this is not proper to offer to the Lord. This is just low quality chipped rice. And Krishna snatched it from him and started eating it. And he was going to eat it all, and then Rukmini took it away. And so we see, such a seemingly, again, from the material perspective, wow, such a low quality offering, not very nice to give someone just this bag of chipped rice. But Krishna accepted it because of the love that it was given with. And of course, Sudama didn't ask for anything. He went there with the intention, or his wife sent him there with the intention of begging for something to sustain themselves. And he left without asking for anything because, again, he didn't want to ask anything from Krishna. He just went to go get his association and, to see his dear friend. And when he came back home a few days later, he saw that his entire, his ramshackle house had been transformed into a palace, a very opulent palace, and with many servants and all these things. And his wife came out and, was overjoyed. So we see that Krishna, understood what was in his heart, gave him what, he actually needed. And he gave it to him because he knew that he wouldn't use it for sense gratification. He would use it for expanding his service to Krishna. And so he opulently worshipped Krishna for the rest of his life in that place. And we see also with, Dhruva Maharaj, he went to the forest not with the intention of practicing pure devotional service or anything like that, but actually with the purpose of getting revenge on someone. Not revenge, I said, but just kind of proving himself. Very materially motivated. He wanted to have a kingdom greater than his father's and all these things. And because he went out there and performed devotional service, he was awarded. And then as soon as he saw Krishna, he realized that what I wanted was completely foolish and nonsense. But even still, even though he renounced that desire after he took darshan of the Lord, still the Lord gave it to him, gave him what he had originally desired. Of course, he became pure devotee at that point. But the point is, we see, and then, there's so many. Arjuna himself, Krishna takes the subordinate position of a chariot driver for him. And their friendship was so close, they would just, hang out and, call each other names and laugh and joke with each other. And Arjuna later lamented that, I was treating you just like my friend, but actually you're the Supreme Person of Godhead. But we understand that this is even higher than this mood of awe and reverence, is this mood of friendship. because this is how we can actually experience real loving reciprocation with the Lord. He, like I said, he's so much greater than us. We're just tiny, insignificant, jivas. But because the flavor, the nectar of this relationship is brought out in that mood of friendship, Krishna arranges for that. Well, within his humility, he's thinking of us in that way. Oh, when will he come to me? He's always thinking of us in that way. But he arranges that we have this ability to have a reciprocal loving relationship with the Lord. And it's quite amazing. It's really just, again, it's inconceivable because the Lord is so great and we're so small. And yeah, like I was saying, so he's the dearmost friend of all living entities. He's within our heart, and he's simply waiting for us to come to him. And now we have, again, the situation where we're moving and all these things, and we simply have to understand that we should put this empowerment, we should beg for this empowerment to create from the Lord, and become one of these surrendered souls at the lotus feet of the Lord. And he will surely provide for us. He will surely carry us. He carries what we lack and preserves what we have. Ananyas chintayantamam yejanav paripasate. Tesham nityabhyukdanam yogakshemam bahamyaham. That the Lord is carrying what we lack, preserving what we have. And so if we lack faith in this regard, Krishna will carry us through. But we have to simply try to put things in Krishna's hands and understand that, okay, things are, kind of out of our hands in some ways, right? We have to raise all this money to get this place. We have to, then when we go there, we have to somehow find out how to bring people there and preach to them and all these things, and show this lifestyle. None of us, I don't think, other than, Avadut and Jitta and Suresh a little bit, have much experience with farming and stuff like that, and then protecting cows. None of us have done that long term so much. Like I said, none of us have lived outside of a city really. But we have to understand that we have to kind of put it in Krishna's hands. And we see in the time of Srila Prabhupada, back in the 70s, devotees were tasked with such great services. They were told to do such outlandish things, you might say. Like, I was hearing this story of Sitala Mataji, that when she joined, basically she joined in Detroit, and then 3 months later, something like that, she wasn't even initiated. And Prabhupada basically sent a letter saying, okay, she can get married to this Prabhuji. He was like the cook. And, I think a week later they were married. And then they're like, okay, now you have to go to this small town and start a center. And like I said, she was 3 months in, 3 months into being a bhaktin, and, probably hadn't even read many of the books or anything like that, but they were just tasked with, okay, go start a center and make devotees. And so they went and they would go on Harinam every day, and they would just hand out flyers for their Sunday feast. And then she said that through that, over a few months, sometimes 6 months or a year, something like that, they made a few devotees, and then eventually they came back to Detroit, and then they went out somewhere else and started another center. But, things like that, and then this New Vrindavan was there as well. It was just a bunch of land, and you see what it is today. Now there's this big palace, Prabhupada's palace, big temple there. Gets so many visitors every year. And it all started with just a bunch of devotees going out there, and they were living extremely austerely out there. They're cooking in oil barrels, I think, like that, doing very austere living basically outside in tents, maybe something like that. And so it's very austere, and we see so many devotees doing that through the history of our movement, that they were tasked with doing something seemingly impossible. Go out and start this center here, do this thing, do that thing, and somehow they did it because they had strong faith in Srila Prabhupada, and they simply followed his orders, and because of that, they were empowered with the mercy of the Lord to do these things. We see in the case of Srila Prabhupada himself. I mean, the impossibility of what he accomplished, that he came to the West expecting that they would send him home, expecting that when he told them, no illicit sex, no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, they would say, please go back to India, Thank you so much for coming, but please go back to India. And that isn't what happened. It isn't what happened, because Srila Prabhupada was following the orders of his spiritual master, and he had a strong faith that the order of his spiritual master is going to empower me to be successful, and that Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana, that hearing the transcendental message of the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is what Prabhupada said. He didn't say that in his Marking Bhagavad Dharma that he wrote when he first arrived in America. He's saying, these people are, Rajas Tama Gunera Sabayachan, they're covered by the modes of passion and ignorance. How will they possibly understand the message? How will they possibly become devotees? But then he explains that, no, I understand that if they repeatedly hear submissively the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam, they have, they can become purified. Their hearts will become purified, and these lower modes of material nature and all the impurities within their heart will become purified, and they will be able to take up devotional service. So he didn't say necessarily that it was kirtan that would do it or prasadam, but he said, this hearing the Bhagavatam specifically. So, and again, we're creating this place where ultimately the goal is to create Vrindavan, right? To create Vrindavan here in Georgia, in America, and create a place where many people can come and some people can stay. We'll have woofers that will be staying on the property sometime, and hopefully just by the fact that they're seeing, we're exemplifying, or we are demonstrating such a completely different lifestyle, and a very sattvic lifestyle, a very uplifting lifestyle. They can come to the morning program, they can take prasadam, they can associate with devotees, do nice service with the farm and the cows and things like that. And they'll see, wow, what am I going to miss out on if I come do this instead of, going back to the city or going back to working a job. It'll just become, hopefully for many people, they'll just naturally become attracted to it, because here is nice, but one thing is that it is just in the city. So it's just like you're still living in the city and you're not able to experience that authentic, that lifestyle that Prabhupada wanted us to build examples of. He wanted us to show the world how we could live simply like that. And he did it in so many different ways. One more small note before I open up for questions that I meant to mention before is that, like I was saying, Krishna is, the Suhrit, he's the closest friend of all living entities. And one thing is that when we're chanting our rounds and things like that, we're not really keeping that in mind, that Krishna is eagerly wanting us to turn to him and eagerly wanting to welcome us back to his association. But so many times at least myself, we just kind of chant inattentively and it's whatever, it's just chanting, just get this done with, But actually this should be the most important aspect of our life. This should be the center of our day, is chanting attentively and meditating on the fact that Krishna is wanting us to come to him. And he's Krishna. I mean, he's the most, beautiful, strong, wealthy. He has all these 6 opulences as being explained here. He doesn't need us, actually. He doesn't need us. But he really desires that we come to him. And you see, the qualities of the Lord are manifest in his devotees as well, because I've just been watching this, following Srila Prabhupada series. It's really nice. And he's in LA right now, and many devotees are talking. I mean, throughout the whole series this is mentioned, but specifically this one in LA, that one of the parents, I think it was a mother of one of the devotees, came and visited and met with Srila Prabhupada. And she was talking about how when she came in, she wasn't a devotee or anything like that, but immediately when she saw Srila Prabhupada, she was completely struck and she was just mesmerized by Srila Prabhupada. And when she actually got to meet with him, she said that she had gone to him with the intention of interviewing him or asking him, she had questions for him. And she was very nice, actually. She was actually genuinely curious about Krishna consciousness. She wasn't going to interrogate him or anything like that. But she went to him with the intention of, let me learn more about him and learn more about this Krishna consciousness. But she said that Prabhupada was so attentive to their conversation that actually he was asking her more about herself. He was interviewing her, she said. And you see that he was so, all of his interactions, this was a common theme that people mentioned, that no matter what his interactions were, even just a few minutes or some seemingly small thing, and some devotee brings something to him and they think it's, I shouldn't go approach Prabhupada with this is too insignificant. But whatever they would bring to Prabhupada, he would give his full attention, and they would feel like, this person is actually listening to me and giving me attention in a way that nobody ever has. And so similarly, like I said, this is, the same with Krishna, that when we approach Krishna, he's attentively there listening to us. He's ready to hear us and to engage with us. But many times, most of the times for myself, I'm not there to engage with him. I'm not attentive to him. So this is one of the qualities of these pure devotees like Prabhupada, is that they're completely attentive and completely personal, right? They don't become impersonal. You have a personal interaction with someone and you're there to actually be part of the conversation, no matter how seemingly insignificant that conversation might be or inconsequential it might be. Prabhupada's running a worldwide movement. He's got so many problems, I'm sure, to deal with. Different devotees sending, money problems and devotees fighting and, this and that, legal problems, and the government and, the Karmi society is saying that, all these bad things about the movement and, so many different things he had to deal with. But if someone simply came to him and wanted to just have a simple conversation about Krishna consciousness, he would actually engage in that. He wouldn't say, you're too basic, you should go speak to my disciple about it, they'll teach you. He would just sit there and engage with these people in a very loving way. And this actually created such an impact on people. You see, like this lady, this mother of a devotee, she started some kind of organization called Friends of Krishna or something like that, and she started chanting herself and all these things, just because it seems like, she didn't explicitly say that, but I gather from what she said that it was because of the impact that Srila Prabhupada had on her meeting him. So you see, even just a moment's association with a pure devotee can give us that seed of devotional service and help us grow in that way. So yeah, I'll end my class there. If there's any comments or questions, please feel free to ask.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So my question is, so we see it's common through the Bhagavatam and our acharyas that they have the order of the spiritual master or the order of Krishna is there, or even Krishna's mercy comes and for instance Brahma is praying for the proper introspection so that he can fulfill his duty to create. And you're talking about Srila Prabhupada also, he received the order of a spiritual master and such. So that order comes, and then those devotees carry out that order, and Krishna wants it and everything. But yet it's there's so much encumbrance that comes with that order sometimes. Mm-hmm. So my question is that if Krishna wants something and it's his will and his desire, then why are there so many obstacles and problems to execute his will?
Yeah. Ultimately, he wants to glorify his devotee as one example, or one reason. So you see, Srila Prabhupada, if he just came to America and then suddenly, it did happen very quickly, but if he didn't have to go through multiple heart attacks on the way here, and then a whole year of being coming to the coldest winter on record in New York, having never seen snow before, and then now you're studying in this very cold place, this horrible situation, and some crazy person tried to stab him or something, right? Someone that he went and stayed with, some person like basically attacked.
His life was in danger.
Yeah, his life became in danger. So many, I mean, you see all these struggles. It only serves to glorify the devotee. So, I mean, you see like, Prahlad Maharaj, he was put through so many horrible things, tortured in this way and that way, and the whole time he didn't become disturbed. He didn't ever give up faith in his Lord. So we see that it serves to glorify the devotees. And it also, for those that aren't maybe pure devotees, but those that are trying to come to that level, those that are practicing and they experience these encumbrances and executing the order of the spiritual master, it serves as purification. It serves as a way to... Krishna likes to see how much we actually want it, right? So if we got an order from the spiritual master to do something and then it was just very easy to do that, it's not so much struggle there. So the more that we have to struggle for something, the more that love is shown, that sincerity is shown. Just like a mother, she has to lose sleep for however many months when she has a newborn baby, and it's a big. If it was just very easy, and the pain of childbirth is there. So many struggles are there to raise the child, but it shows more how much that mother actually loves the child and cares for it. That she's willing to go through that in order to care for the child. So we see, these struggles, they make us stronger in devotional service. They help us strengthen our faith, and they show to Krishna that we are sincere in our efforts, if that's okay.
Yeah. I was going to say also, it's in this translation also. Brahma makes the point that he's surrendered and he's dear to the Lord. So when you were speaking, I was thinking that that's like also like a connection there, like devotees, there may be like difficulties and such, but they're like surrendered, so they don't want to give that up. But
Right.
anyways, I'm bringing that up because it's just like moving forward and like establishing like varnashram and all the intricacies that come with that. It's not necessarily like that's easy.
Yeah.
It could also be like, in one sense, easier to just like build this temple.
Yeah.
But like kind of like you're saying though, but that Krishna wants to, that the test and all those things are there to kind of like prove like our sincerity in some sense.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, you see, I mean, like, the order that Srila Prabhupada was given by his spiritual masters wasn't easy at all, right? Go preach in the Western world, and he took it, or preach in the English language, he took it to the fullest extent, right? He took it all the way to like the fullest conclusion of that order, to preach in the English language. Okay, so go to the West, open 108 temples all over the world, make thousands of disciples, they're Americans, Malechas. So he took that order and really expanded it. But you see the order of establishing Varnashram. Okay, so like we could open we could start a farm community, and like have, we're there, and then there's maybe some other devotees come join. But the order of establishing Varnashram is like to establish it like within the society, right? So it's like actually like inconceivable amount of work, and like it seems impossible like to actually like take what this society is now and then like establish Varnashram within it. So yeah, it's like we could really expand that, and like spend many, many lifetimes working on that problem, I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Yes, Prabhu.
We hear that Lord Brahma is praying for Krishna's mercy, but we see people in this world who really aren't interested, Like I was speaking with this gentleman yesterday, and he was saying, well, I can be happy without God.
Yeah.
So what do you say to people, who have this idea?
Yeah, so many people say that. So many people are saying that. I mean, ultimately, I always come down to like the fact of, okay, like Krishna's also there in the form of death, in the form of time. So you say you can, and then they'll say, oh, I'll just live a happy life. And then, at death, I will be satisfied with what I did in my life. They say that, but it's a form of denial, because nobody actually wants to get old and die. Like, nobody has that desire that, oh yeah, I really can't wait to like old age and death. That's going to be amazing. But, everyone has to go through that. And so they say, oh, well, I accept it. I'm at peace with it. But because they don't know who they are, they don't know where they're going, they don't understand that what they're doing in this world is creating so many horrible, sinful reactions within, that they're going to have to suffer through. They might say they're happy now, but it's a fleeting happiness. It's like a moment of time in their eternal journey that they're going on, and they don't know what they're going to have to go through next. So we understand that the modern society is set up in such a way that every moment almost we're committing sinful actions. At least every day they're eating meat and engaging in all kinds of horrible things. That I was just reading that. Let me see if I can find this actually. Just this severity. It specifically was pointing out the severity of meat eating. 1087:39 here. So it was a unique way. I never heard it said before, so I wanted to show this. This is in the Prayers of the Personified Vedas. Okay. And ultimately, death awaits, followed by painful punishment for sinful activities, especially those who have freely indulged in sensual enjoyments at the cost of others' lives can expect punishment so severe it is unimaginable. So it's really actually terrifying what you think about like these, where they're headed, and they have no idea. They're in ignorance. So yeah, I mean, it's really hard to to get through to these people in my experience. I don't know. Yes, bro.
In material life, you get entangled in situations. For instance, if one's in the situation where they have to take care of their family, and then things are really tight, things are really difficult. I'm speaking for a man. Things may be really tight, may be really difficult. You may have to lose so much sleep, not do anything fun, just like in a really entangling situation where, okay, I just am forced by material nature to suffer. And one of these ignorant people who think, oh, I can just still enjoy life and then be satisfied at the end of my life. They may think, okay, I'll go through this suffering and I just know there's some pleasure on the other side of it, so I'll just go through it. But it requires ignorance and foggy-headedness to go through that and still have hope. Because if you can see the big picture, then you just see how useless and meaningless it all is.
Yeah.
So I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, these people, all it is they're distracted by all the thrills of this world. But sometimes someone may become a little numb to it, numb to the thrills of material life, and then they just see see the big picture of how meaningless and hopeless it actually is. Yeah. So I was just going to say, for someone to think like that, it requires a level of foggy-headedness and distraction.
Yeah. I saw this stupid thing, it was Sadhguru speaking, and then there's a little girl, she must have been maybe 7 or 8, and she was asked the question okay, what you're saying is cool, but we all have to die, so what do you say to that? And he didn't have anything to say. She stumped him on that, but she understood actually it's all meaningless, you're saying, yeah, it's all completely meaningless. What's the point of all that shit? And he just didn't know what to say. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, bro.
Just one quick comment with Abhidu's question, but Prabhu would also give the example too, which is amazing one, but he would say you can't wake up somebody who's pretending to be asleep. So that's there also.
Nice, yeah. Mahota Prabhu wanted me to read this out. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada expanded upon Suhridam Sarvabhutanam in a 1968 Bhagavad Gita lecture. Krishna is always our natural friend, that is stated in Bhagavad Gita. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. Suhridam means suhrit. There are different names in Sanskrit for different kinds of friends. One friend is called bandhu, one is called mitra, and one is called suhrit. So Krishna says, I am Suhrit, which means such a friend. A friend sincerely wants your happiness. A Suhrit is a real friend, and Mitra is social friendship. Bandhu is official friendship, but Suhrit means one actually desires good for his friend, sincere friend. Krishna is Suhrit. He is always wishing my good, and he is therefore canvassing me. Please, you surrender unto me. Okay, yes, Prabhu.
So Krishna is referred to as one's only real friend.
Yeah.
And in relationships with devotee, okay, I mean, in material life, we have relationships with different people, and it's all contextual.
Yeah.
Once the context is gone, then the friendship is gone.
Yeah.
And it may appear to be the same way with devotees. For instance, there's so many friends, brahmacharis that have came through here, and then, they come from the other side of the world, they come here for some time, and then they go back to the other side of the world, and it's kind of like, okay, we kind of forget about him and things go on. Maybe we remember him time to time. But, I mean, as devotees, we have eternal relationships with each other, but it still seems that, okay, if this devotee has nothing to do with my service, my life right now, then that relationship seems irrelevant. So I was wondering if you could speak on that.
Yeah, I mean, naturally, like the devotees we're around, it becomes more like intimate, you could say, or like we become closer friends with them. But we can understand that like anybody that we perform devotional service with, even like you just think like there's so many devotees all over the world, we might not ever even met them necessarily, but still we're all engaging in Srila Prabhupada's service together. We're all trying to push on Prabhupada's movement. There's many sincere devotees all over the world. All of our, god brothers, god sisters, there are so many of them all over the world. We've never met them, but we know like if we do meet them, we'll be very like glad to see them. It'd be, very nice, and like we'll bow down to each other, offer obeisances and these kinds of things. And it's on that platform of serving Krishna, serving Srila Prabhupada together. So in that way it is eternal. Now, like you said, yeah, naturally, like the devotees that we're around more, like, for example, I'm very close to Chandanacharya Prabhu because we work, almost like all, there was like, I was thinking about it, like, other than when he just left just now, there wasn't a single day that like we didn't like sit down at night and do our prayers together. And like, I mean, we basically spend all day together every day for like a couple of years now. So we become very close in that way. So you see that. That's natural. It's not that like there can be no like, oh, I'm closer to this person. I mean, that's naturally going to happen, right? But it doesn't mean that it's not an eternal relationship, if that's what you mean. Like, it's still on the platform of serving Krishna. So it's not on the bodily platform of, okay, like I'm an American and you're an American, therefore like we get along. And, you see people come from India or whatever. These devotees came from Hungary. Many of the brahmacharis from Hungary came, and like immediately we just kind of like kick it off. Just like we get along, and it's on the platform of we're serving Krishna together. So there's nice camaraderie there, and friendship. It's kind of instantly there.
Somehow we'll all be reunited in the spiritual world. Is that true?
Not that I know. I mean, I don't know. Could be. I don't want to speculate on that. But, I mean, yeah, if you go back to Godhead, you're there. Devotees are there.
If the devotee wants to go back home, back to Godhead, and then we go back home, then we'll probably
Yeah.
meet at the destination.
Yeah, must be there. Yeah, so, yes, Prabhu.
I just thought I'd add something too, because Krishna's our best friend, so you listen to your best friend. And our best friend, who is Krishna, is giving this instruction that mad bhaktim pujat yadika, that he says, if you really want to please me, you should worship my devotee. So
Yeah.
we can please Krishna by serving his servants.
Yeah. He says that my devotee is more dear to me than my very self, too. It's crazy. Okay. Anything else?
Just on that point. Krishna is pleased specifically with the prachetas because they're dear to each other. They have good relationships. And another point regarding the eternality of it, that Dhruva Maharaj he had darshan of Vishnu and he was going to the spiritual world, but he thought of his mother, who, I mean, and once, I mean, like, she functioned as his guru in one sense, but that was a bodily relationship, the relationship. But he thought of that, and they did have some spiritual relationship, and, he saved her.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's good. Okay. Anything from the Matadis? Okay. No. Anything else? Oh. Yeah.
Just on the point of surrender, it reminds me of, I was reading last night in the Transcendental Diaries, and Harishori Prabhu was relating how Prabhupada had given this analogy of, you see the waves, the really tumultuous sea waves. And there's the fish that are able to swim completely peacefully in the water because they've taken shelter of the ocean. Whereas, an elephant, despite having all this strength, he's completely useless in the water. So Prabhupada was then just making the point that we should be like the fish in the way that we surrender to Krishna.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, anything else? No. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatribhyascha kripasinvibhya patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.